Hello, my name is Veronica Shore, and it's a little windy out here, but I think it's going to be really fun, and I'm going to be reading my piece, Ground Beer for the Dogs, which was originally published in No Contacts issue 28. When I was little, I would follow my father around our yard and smoke his discarded cigarette butts. I'd taste next to nothing but filter and put them gently back on the ground where they used to be. My father and I would have fires and stay up all night to get the coals hot enough to melt his beer bottles. He wouldn't want to stop until the glass was flat and bubbly. The mornings after, I would trudge through the soot and stomp to shatter it all. Today I went to school covered in dog blood. My dog is pregnant and the other bitch has been trying to kill her, going for her neck whenever she gets the chance. My father says it's the hormones bouncing around. I had to help separate them. It's not the first time. I get to school and a sophomore stops me in the hallway, telling me he had a bag in the woods. He asks if I want to meet him later. I'll find you, I say. I don't notice the blood until I go to wipe my forehead. I'm worried about the puppies. How pregnant is she? I meet the sophomore after lunch, told my 5th block teacher I wasn't going to be there, and we walk to the river. About to pop, I say. When you rub her stomach, you can feel them moving around and shit. I pass the joint to him. We thought my dog was pregnant. She had those lumps on her stomach and like big fucking nipples, right? And it was right after she'd been missing for a day, so we figured she was out bumping uglies. Turns out she had stomach cancer and she died like 2 weeks later. You didn't notice anything was wrong? He shakes his head. You know how pregnant bitches get. Light? I light it for him. I come home and my father's in a panic. It's time, he says. She's broody. And I help my parents help our dog. The first puppy doesn't come until after 2.5 hours of labor. Its sac and the placenta are green, and my father says that means there's a dead puppy in there somewhere. She's supposed to have 7, but she has 8. The runt was born while I was trying to get another pup to latch. Our bitch didn't even contract. He just slipped out. My father spends 50 minutes resuscitating him, and in the whelping log he tells me to write, born with no sac, not breathing, umbilical cord already severed, white socks. I keep that puppy, Wilbur, alive for 3 days. His ears on sideways and his skull not fully formed. He couldn't latch. My father falls asleep with Wilbur on his chest because he's warm enough, and in the morning he's cold and unresponsive until we put him on a heating pad. When Wilbur finally dies, the mother, the bitch, starts breathing easier in that guilty space between sadness and relief. My mother cries and I dig a hole for him in the backyard by a white rock. My father says we can't bury him today because Sunday is a day of rest. We'll do it tomorrow. I get a text from the sophomore to meet him by the river. I need a cigarette, he says. The rain is soft, and I cannot recognize which house is mine, so I stand in the road until I find it in the place it's always been. It's been there for so long. I was just by the river. When I walk up the driveway, my father is sitting in the garage. I'm out of beer, he says. Drive me. I get in the car and my throat hurts. My father, he lights a cigarette. I'm sorry, he says. It's my fault. It isn't, I say. I know you hate me, he says. I can feel it. I don't, I say. Drive. At the gas station, I have to fill up the tank. My father says I'm getting this truck when I go off to college, and I just hope he remembers. A man comes up to me and asks me for a light, and I give him my lighter. I know I'm not supposed to smoke at the pump, you know, the signs. He gestures. He's funny. But a wet cigarette is worse than eating the filter. He pushes me and laughs, and I touch the pepper spray in my pocket. He's funny. Can't get this fucking thing to work, he says. I hand him matches. He takes them and laughs, stumbles, and splashes gasoline over my shoes. Take care, I say, and my father comes out with Allagash White and pistachios. When driving home, he lines up the fully shut nuts on the dashboard and hits them with the back of his phone. "Sorry," he says when the shells get on me. "You're fine," and I pull into the driveway. My father takes a beer out of the six-pack and hands it to me before he leaves. "For your trouble," he says. I stay in the truck and I open the bottle. I don't like beer, but I drink it anyway. The rain has stopped and I take off my shoes and put my feet up on the dashboard. My socks are wet, so I take them off too, walking barefoot behind the house to smoke a cigarette. My father is there messing with the fire pit, and he asks for my lighter to get it started. I stand there staring at him. "Everything is wet, Dad. It's not gonna light." He looks at me, and then the grave by the rock. "It's all mud," he says. And that is the end. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it.